A few days ago, out of the blue, a gameplay trailer for the Security Breach Ruin DLC dropped. The trailer itself was only a minute and 9 seconds long, but it showed off a lot of interesting things as our first look at the free DLC, showcasing the release month of July of 2023. Before this DLC trailer, all we knew about the DLC was what we saw in that poster for it almost a year ago now, and even that wasn't extremely revealing. All we could do was speculate based on the poster and what we saw in Security Breach itself, but now with the trailer we have quite a bit to talk about. So in this video I'm going to be breaking down the entire trailer and discussing my theories on what could potentially happen in the Ruin DLC. So what we're going to be doing is going through the whole trailer throughout the video and discussing what is shown and what it could possibly mean for the DLC. So let's of course just start from the beginning. As the steel wool logo fades to black, we begin to hear Gregory's voice as he's calling for someone named Cassie to come save him because he's trapped in the Pizzaplex. Already, just from this, there's a decent amount to unpack. We immediately see that the Pizzaplex is not looking so good. Cassie enters the Pizzaplex through a broken window at the main entrance. While the entrance used to protrude outward, the area that it would protrude from now has a ladder leading up on top of it where there's some scaffolding stuff where Cassie enters through the building. If I had to guess, I would say that we, as Cassie, begin outside the Pizzaplex and have to do a little bit of maneuvering to get in, though it may just be that this is the starting cutscene. As Gregory speaks, we see a lot of the areas in the Pizzaplex as they are in a state of disrepair. The main entrance immediately shows off a lot of graffiti around, which is very interesting, and given the scaffolding and stuff, it seems that this DLC takes place quite a while, at least a few months after Security Breach. However, if that's the case, how is Gregory still alive? It seems that Gregory would be trapped in the pizza place still if this is following the Atten ending, which I'll talk more about later, and down there is no food or water that he can have, meaning that he should be dead. However, there are a couple explanations for this. First of all, it's possible that Gregory is a robot, which I do believe, which would explain his survival despite the lack of food and water, or it's possible that Gregory is currently possessed by Glitchtrap and he's keeping him alive, now trying to trap Cassie. We do know Gregory is patient 46 and is possessed by Glitchtrap, so it's possible, though it is up for debate whether or not the Gregory we play as is possessed by Glitchtrap, or if he is, whether or not he is still by this point. It's also possible that Gregory isn't actually the one talking here. In the epilogues of Tales from the Pizzaplex, the Mimic talks through a radio to try and lure the teenagers towards him so that he can kill them. The trailer later shows that Cassie talks to Gregory through a Roxy-themed walkie-talkie, so it's possible that the Mimic is talking through it and pretending to be Gregory. I personally think that Gregory really is just down there and is genuinely just trying to escape with Cassie's help, but it could really be any option. Speaking of Cassie though, let's talk about her next. Cassie is a very similar name to Cassidy. The Ruin teaser also has her with a lack of any color, which could allude to the drowned girl in Drowning, who is implied to be Cassidy and also matching Cassidy being from a long time ago. So is it possible that Cassie is Cassidy? It would be very interesting, and I'd say that there's probably a connection, but what exactly is that connection? I don't think people would very much like the idea of her being a robot, and I feel like it would be a bit strange if she was only a representation of Cassidy, but since we know that Cassidy is still around, it's possible that Cassidy possessed this girl, either literally taking over her body or doing it in a way that Gabriel did it in Year of the Band. But it could also technically be a coincidence. However, I think it's more likely that she is meant to be or represent Cassidy, and there's another reason for that which I'll discuss later. Interestingly enough though, Cassie has on green nail polish. Now you may think that this means nothing at first, and it is possible that it means nothing, but what's interesting is that Vanessa, who was possessed by Glitchtrap, actually wears purple nail polish. Even more interestingly though, the two different nail polish colors, purple and green for Vanessa and Cassie respectively, actually matches the two colors of the steel wool logos on securitybreachtv.com, which actually mirror each other. It's possible that this is meant to emulate Princess Quest, where the princess, who is Cassidy, tries to save Vanessa, who is possessed by Glitchtrap, her opposite. It would be very interesting. Now let's move on with the trailer. While Gregory speaks, we get a look at the wreckage of a bunch of different areas like the kitchen with a weird bird thing or something in it, a hallway leading to what seems to be an office, what looks like an underground area which I can't entirely tell what it is, Monty Golf, seemingly the stairs leading down to the lost and found room or something, another look at Monty Golf, which still somehow has flowing water, either parts and service or the hallways where we ran from Monty, a look at the daycare, the sewer, what looks to be near the elevators at the main entrance, and Chica's bakery. That's quite a lot, but yeah, that's all we see as Gregory is talking. What he says though is very interesting, as he mentions that it is, quote, so dark down here. This implies that Gregory is trapped underground, which matches up with the Afton ending. While yes, we see Gregory and Freddy on a hill afterwards, that doesn't actually seem to be possible to be what happened without something else happening after it, due to the fact that Freddy says that the elevator leading down to the pizza place can't survive more than one trip, which would lead to them getting trapped down there. That implies that Ruin really is after the Afton ending, which really adds up considering the fact that while most of the Pizzaplex is only a bit wrecked but not really in shambles, the pizza place is underneath Roxy Raceway, which we only see one camera shot of in the entire trailer. We see a couple glimpses from around the area like the beauty salon and such, but we don't see any of the area that the pizza place is directly under. What seems to have happened is that the pizza place burned down again, causing all the rock above it to crumble and fall onto the pizza place, destroying it and causing the Pizzaplex above to rock like an earthquake, causing subsequent damage to the Pizzaplex, but most especially what was directly above it, Roxy Raceway. There's not really any other area where Gregory would be trapped or any other way the Pizzaplex would be so wrecked. Speaking of wreckage though, we then get our very first look at the even more shattered Roxy, who is now missing her entire face like Withered Bonnie. Strangely, her endoskeleton on her head looks very different to the one in the main Security Breach game. While this could just be a model inconsistency, it could also mean that Roxy has been using the things around her to rebuild herself, though that's a bit problematic considering it would be difficult for her blind ass to find endoskeleton parts, but it's also possible that it was Vanny's doing. This scene also seems to be the Glamrock Beauty Salon, which has a lot of shattered glass and things all over the floor. Next we see this thing that Cassidy has with her, which is unclear what it is, but it seems integral to the gameplay given we see her begin to hack something with it later on. Then we see Cassie walking around right outside the daycare with an endoskeleton there coming alive and looking at her, but freezing like they do in the main game. Then we see the more shattered Chica animatronic at the Glamrock Beauty Salon once again, and she's now missing an arm and a leg, only being left with the endoskeleton parts, and her other arm has an endoskeleton piece, but half of the whole arm is missing, and her structure is a lot more battered and worn. Next, we see Cassie at the cyberdeck looking station that we can currently see on securitybreachtv.com, and when she uses it, it actually opens up cameras. These here are the camera devices, and it seems that they show the cameras for each area that they're in, and also that there's one in each area, or maybe a couple in each area. We get about a frame of Monty Golf cameras, which we can actually see Cassie herself at the station in, and then it quickly switches over to a Roxy Raceway camera. We can also see that each camera allows you to select between a few cameras nearby, similar to how the Fazwatch worked in Security Breach, only the cameras here don't move with you, they can only be accessed by seemingly one station, which will make it much more difficult. It seems you can also zoom in and out on the cameras, which is cool, and the cameras are a lot higher quality but also black and white. There's also an intercom when you press E, which I assume is going to be kind of like FNaF 3 where you can lure characters with audio, which would be especially useful for Roxy because she only goes off what she can hear like Ballora. We then see this machine which we hack with our device thing, and it seems to be missing some wires. We can see the fallen statue of Sun and Moon, which indicates that this is the entrance to the daycare where we see that statue. Next, we get another clip from what seems to be the Glamrock Beauty Salon again, where there are cracked and warped floors and shattered glass, and Cassie here has a Roxy-themed walkie-talkie which she speaks through, telling Gregory to run. It seems like throughout the game we will be talking to Gregory through this device, which does add a merit to the idea of Gregory's voice being the Mimic, as the Mimic did talk through a radio in the epilogues, though again I think it could go either way, but lead more towards it being the real Gregory just trying to get help. Next, we get a shot of being in what seems to be the sewer and finding a torn staff bot, and then we walk into a room with some fallen filing cabinets as well as a jail cell style door slightly open and with the extra shattered Monty trying to get through. Speaking of Monty, right after that we see Cassie riding on a Monty cart and jumping off and onto the catwalks, which are now quite destroyed. Right after that, we cut to a scene behind a door with a chain link fence, and on the other side seems to be Chica's bakery based on the candy swirls and the lights on the edge of the building that we see. Right after that, we get a closer look at the more shattered Monty, who barely has any of his casing anymore and has some cracked teeth, his endoskeleton partially brown and his mohawk being essentially all that remains. This is Monty's jump scare, which we know from the static screen we see for a split second right after, and during this jump scare, Cassie actually tries to defend herself from Monty, but fails and he kills her. Then we see shattered Chica on a conveyor belt heading who knows where, and we then see a very interesting shot. We see shattered Freddy in what we can tell is Phaser Blast and in a pile of staff bots. This seems to be following the Princess Quest ending, which is so strange because everything else points to this being after the Afton ending, so how does this work? Well, surprisingly, it is possible, as there's a possibility that the Vanny ending could actually happen within this DLC. Think about the fact that in order to get the Vanny ending, we have to have gone to Phaser Blast, and yet in the Vanny ending cutscenes, Freddy has Monty's claws, which isn't possible unless this is after spending more time at the Pizzaplex. Could it just be a mistake? Maybe, but it is interesting to take note of. It's possible that in this DLC, Gregory and Freddy make it up, but the Vanny ending cutscene happens, Freddy is destroyed, and Princess Quest is not immediately achieved, leaving Vanny still around for a bit longer, and also allowing Princess Quest to literally be this DLC, though I will save that for the end because it relies on things that I haven't talked about yet. Either way, this DLC has to have at least some reliance on Princess Quest, considering Freddy here being the direct Freddy from the Vanny ending, though some speculate that this is after the Princess Quest ending, as in that ending is canon, and in that ending, Freddy's body is left behind and his head is brought out of the Pizzaplex, and we don't see his head in this trailer, so it's possible that it's just his body, but I would honestly really enjoy it if this is really the entire Freddy animatronic, and that Freddy would actually become evil in this DLC, being possessed by Glitchtrap. Because he has all the animatronic upgrades, he would actually be a big threat, and if Gregory himself were to appear in this DLC, Freddy would be such a good enemy not only because he knows Gregory, which would make Gregory vulnerable, but it would also actually have good emotional value. Anyway, moving on. We then see Roxy grabbing Cassie, but also not attacking her, which is very interesting, and I don't know why this would be happening. I doubt that Roxy is friendly in this DLC, but who really knows. Something strange is definitely happening here. Something I actually noticed, and it seems that I wasn't the only person to notice, was that Roxy's eye holes have two holes in them perfectly matching the gadget that we have earlier in the trailer, meaning maybe we can plug it into Roxy and maybe hack her into being friendly, or it could be a way to stun her. I'm unsure, but it's very interesting. But right after that, we see one of the coolest shots in this trailer. Sun and Moon have merged into one. We see that this takes place just outside the daycare as this character busts out of the doors towards us, then stops and waves at us. This is a character who, for the time being, I will be calling Eclipse, since it's a combination of Sun and Moon, which is interestingly also what we see in Balloon World's Glitch World, and people call that character Eclipse, so I'll call this one Eclipse as well. It seems like what's happening here is that Eclipse has both personalities of Sun and Moon, as the animatronic has aspects of both and is essentially them merged, and it seems that Eclipse is a bit nice as he does wave. With the daycare door now open, it seems that he lets us in, since right after that we get a shot of the daycare. But inside there, we see Cassie holding and putting on a mask, but if we look at the frame right before she puts it on, we can see that this is the Vanny mask. This is another thing that has led many people to believe that this DLC is after the Princess Quest ending, because in that ending, the Vanny mask is left behind, which would allow Cassie to have it, and Vanny isn't actually seen anywhere in this trailer. But if we look at this mask closely, we can see that it's actually not the mask from Security Breach. The mask from Security Breach is entirely round, while this one has a tuft of hair at the top. It's not the same mask. In reality, this mask actually matches the Vanny mask from Help Wanted. But why? Well, in the next shot, we have our answer. Just take a look at this thing. What does this remind you of? Some people have been saying that this is Glamrock Bonnie, but I doubt it. Think about it, at the end of the February 2021 trailer for Security Breach, we got teased for Burn Trap. Now, at the end of the Ruin trailer, we get teased for a purple and green glitching rabbit character. It is very clear that this character here is Glitchtrap. But do you notice anything interesting about his design? Take a look at his huge smile. Take a look at the tear tracks coming down from his eyes. This perfectly matches how we see Glitchtrap in Princess Quest. And might I ask, what else do we see on Glitchtrap in Princess Quest? Many different pieces sticking out and matching the arrangements of the Blob. I predicted a long time ago that Glitchtrap would merge with the Blob in Ruin based on that and the fact that the Blob is seemingly a 15-foot tall amalgamation of animatronics, just like the Afton amalgamation in Fazbear Frights. So it would make a lot of sense if those animatronics all together inside the Blob were absorbed by Burn Trap, making the game's equivalent of the Afton amalgamation. Something else I noticed though was that this amalgamation seems to have limbs from DJ Music Man, which makes it possible that throughout the DLC, the amalgamation will go around and absorb the parts of the other animatronics, starting with DJ Music Man and possibly even the Glamrock animatronics like I predicted before Security Breach came out. I honestly have no idea, but I think all of this would be so interesting. But how does this connect to the Vanny mask? Well, think about this. The Princess Quest ending seems to happen after the Afton ending because Freddy has Monty's claws as I mentioned earlier, and this DLC seems to happen after the Afton ending with Freddy here also being shattered like what happens to him in the Vanny ending. What if the Princess Quest ending didn't happen that way though? What if Gregory never ran up and played Princess Quest? What if all of Princess Quest was metaphorical? And what if Ruin was what Princess Quest was leading up to all this time? Princess Quest was only a game, and in Security Breach we played it as Gregory, yet Cassidy was the princess? What's the point of that if Gregory is controlling her the whole time? Well, what if Cassidy was never actually in the Princess Quest arcade machines, but rather her spirit was around trying to put a stop to all of it as a spirit in the real world? Cassie is a very similar name to Cassidy, who we play as in Princess Quest, and we play as Cassie in this DLC. That's one point. Cassie is going around and trying to survive the Glamrock animatronics which are infected with Glitch Trap, which is interesting as in Princess Quest we are trying to survive against floating glitch traps indicating the items infected by him, i.e. the Glamrock animatronics. That's another point. The Vanny Mask is the Help Wanted one, not the Security Breach one, and in Princess Quest 3 we collect a Glitch Trap plushie and, you guessed it, the Vanny Mask, specifically from Help Wanted. That's yet another point. And finally, the Glitch Trap from Princess Quest appears in this DLC trailer. That's one last point. All of this makes so much sense, and if it is true, it would be such a cool ending to have Cassidy, be the one to finish off Afton once and for all. Ruin is Princess Quest. Of course, it's only a prediction, and it's entirely possible that I'm wrong, and if I am, that's fine. But if in a future trailer, or in the Ruin DLC itself, we have a Glitch Trap plushie come along, don't be surprised when I say I told you so. But that's all that there is to talk about for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to. Let me know how excited you are for the Ruin DLC. There's recently been a small Security Breach TV update where the purple steel wool logo now says Voices Becoming Screams, and the green one says Shadows Within Shadows. And there's also going to be a PlayStation showcase coming out tomorrow, so let me know if you think that we're getting more Ruin news soon. I probably won't be streaming that PlayStation showcase, but if there's news for Ruin and possibly Spider-Man 2, then I will be doing a video or two on that either tomorrow or Thursday, so get excited, and I will see you all next time. Bye guys!